Hello, book lovers and English learners. Welcome to our January and February live read along. I'm Lydie Bureau. I'm an English teacher in France and also the founder of Lydie's Book Club, a book club for learners of English. In this book club, I host live readings and discussion workshops on adaptations of classics of literature and contemporary novels in their original text. I also tend to prioritize books that are written by women. Each month, we read and explore a different book for all levels of English. Each week, I host several live reading sessions on Instagram and also on Zoom for free. And to be able to attend those live readings on Zoom, you just need to subscribe to the newsletter on my website, leadersbookclub.com, and you will get the free link. And 3 times a month, I meet the members of the book club via Zoom in a live discussion workshop to talk about the chapters read over the week. And this is the way for members to improve their speaking and critical thinking skills and be part of a community of book lovers, share their thoughts, and decide on the next books we are going to read. So for the next 2 months, we are going to read the original text of It Ends With Us, this book written by Colleen Hoover and published in 2016. And if you want to know more about the novel and Colleen Hoover's work, I invite you to listen to the podcast episode 29. It's called An Introduction to Colleen Hoover, and It Ends With Us, and it's on the podcast Read in English. This podcast is available on YouTube and also on Spotify, if you prefer. So today is our sixth live reading session. No, our fifth, sorry. This is our fifth live reading session, and we are going to read chapter 7. And this Saturday, only chapter 7 because it's, oh, sorry, I said session 7, but it's it's session 5 and it's chapter 7. Sorry, I made a mistake in the Instagram title. Anyway, so we're only going to read chapter 7 today because it's quite a long chapter. So I think it will be enough for today. And this Saturday, I will host our second live discussion workshop to talk about chapters 3 to 7. So the chapters that we have read this week and also a little bit and Saturday. So if you want to attend these live workshop session, you just need to subscribe to the book club on my website, again, on leadersbookclub.com, and the link is in the description as well. Hi, thank you for joining the live. I hope you're well. Let me know how long you've been learning English, and if you have you read the book, let me know. I'd love to know if you've already read the book, or are you reading the book with us, with me as well? Let me know if you just joined. So as I was saying, we'll have our second live workshop on the book this Saturday. So if you want to attend this workshop, just subscribe to the book club. So attending, just one last thing about these live discussion workshop. It's really the best way for you to improve your speaking, but also your reading skills, because I will be asking you questions about the characters in the chapters. So you have to go back to it. And it's also a good way for the readers, for the members to ask any questions if they haven't understood a certain passage. So it's a great way to interact together. So let's get started. So before I start the reading, hi Kitty, thank you for joining the live. I'm just going to recap chapter 4, 5, and 6, the ones that we read yesterday. So in chapter 4, we have Lily recalling, going back to her journal entries and her reading her letters to Ellen DeGeneres, the TV presenter, the American TV presenter. So she's reading one of her letters, and in these letters we learn more about her relationship with how her relationship with Atlas evolves, and they becoming friends, so that we can understand that they become friends. And also we see that we see how Lily's father behaved towards his mother, and we have a little bit more details on how her father was violent towards her mother, and how Lily reacted. She hated him when he was violent towards her mother, and she sort of knew how to behave so that her father would stop hitting her mother. So she knew that when she was in a room, her father would stop hitting her mother. So she would purposely enter in the room so that her father would stop. But then, when they were in the living room, for example, but then he will ask her mother to go to the bedroom, and he would follow her in the bedroom, and then they will close the door, and she would hear her mother being beaten. So this chapter in this chapter, we really feel how much hatred she felt for her father. And there is this line, page 64. The letter starts, "Dear Ellen, if I had access to a gun or a knife right now, I'd kill him." So it really shows the strength and the force of well, how much she hated her father at this moment, and to what extremity she was ready to go. You know, she's 15 at this point, and she's able to understand things, and being a teenager, she definitely doesn't accept the way her father behaves towards her mother. But what is interesting as well is when her mother come out of the room, or at some point they stopped fighting, and we can see that how her mother is often downplaying, or I'm not sure if it's the right expression, but that she trying to undermine the gravity of the situation, and and she would just say, "Oh, I'm fine, Lily, I'm fine." Just um, in a way, perhaps she was trying to protect her in a way, but that really upsets. It gets the opposite effect for towards Lily, and it's interesting to see the point of view of an adolescent or a teenager, sorry, of a teenager um, having um, to bear with a violent household. Um, because she says at some point that she would have rather lived in a small apartment, not having much to live on, not having much money, than living in a house where there is violence. So that really shows. Often we hear parents or mother that they stayed because of the kids, or you have couples who stay together, but they're constantly fighting, not necessarily to the point of hitting each other, but they're constantly fighting and disagreeing on things. And we can, and they say that they stayed together, or one of them is saying that they stayed together because of the kids. They didn't want to break the family. But on the other hand, we can see that the children definitely feel the sadness and the fact that these two people are not happy together, and they would rather live separately than being in a household where there is constant fight. So this book is very insightful towards in understanding the children, or a child here, the children's point of view in a violent household, um, or a troubled household. So that's what this chapter is about. Chapter 5 is a complete different atmosphere, much more steamy or sexy, I would say. So in chapter 5, we're back into the present time. So Lily is in her flat. She is just recovered from her um, ankle injury, and she's starting feeling better. And Ryle knocks at her door. And why is he here, you could ask? Well, as you might guess, he hasn't forgotten about Lily. And it's barely a week. Yeah, a week after they met at the shop. And he's back at her door, and he's panting. So it's like it feels like it's this feeling of being exhausted because you've been running or something like that, or you've been exercising, because he's been looking for her door uh, for, I don't know, about 10 minutes or something. He's been knocking at 29 doors or something to find her door, because he can't stop thinking about her, and he's begging her. He's begging her. He says, "Please, are you sure?" He's very insisting, um, and that makes Lily a little bit confused, with feeling a little bit of having mixed feelings, because he's begging to have sex with her to stop his misery. Uh, and Lily finally accepts, but she's asking him to wait for her to have a shower. So she's getting herself ready, blah, blah, blah. As you might have seen, that's very typical from rom comedy, no, it's not comedy, but a romance films or stories where it's mainly in films that we can read this kind of things, very American cliche sort of. So she gets ready in the bathroom and she takes about an hour to get herself ready. And when she comes out of the bathroom, guess what? He has fallen asleep. And in the end, they don't have sex and she just sleeps next to him. So it's quite I kind of expected it a little bit. It wasn't like it wasn't a big surprise to be honest. Um, so so when he woke up, he apologized. He felt terrible, as you might guess. So he felt terrible, especially that he came and he didn't get what he wanted in the end because of himself, because of the fact that he remember he's working a lot. He's a neurosurgeon, so I guess he was exhausted. And So when he woke up, he just kissed her on the forehead and he left, more or less. And he apologized, and he left. But then 53 days later, when Lily is opening her shop, she's doing kind of confidential small opening of the shop. She sees him. She sees Ryle coming in the shop as her first customer, and and Eliza and Lily are surprised to see him, and he's there, and he buys some flowers, so a bouquet of lilies, and guess what? He signed the card, and he asks he asks Lily and Eliza whether if they deliver the flowers. And Eliza is quite inquisitive. She's asking, who are you sending these flowers to? She's curious to know who is the the mysterious girl. But Ryle doesn't say anything, and Lily starts blushing, but she doesn't speak. Well, Eliza doesn't notice anything, and he signed the card, and on the card he writes, so on the address, on the destination, he writes the shop, the address of the shop, and on the message he writes, uh, please, no, stop this. What does he write exactly? I can't remember the words. Make it stop. Make it stop. Yeah, right. So he writes, make it stop. So obviously, Eliza doesn't understand the meaning of make it stop, and she laughs at him because she thinks that he made a mistake on writing the address of the shop on the card. But Lily perfectly understands that the flowers are for her. So she keeps the flowers in her office. So this is how chapter 6 ends. So now let's read chapter 7. Let's start. Okay. So chapter 7, page 81. Stop fidgeting, Devin says. I'm not fidgeting. He loops his arm around through mine as he walks me towards the elevator. Yes, you are. And if you pull that top over, your cleavage If you pull that top over your cleavage one more time, it'll defeat the whole purpose of your little black dress. Um, oh yes, so she's probably going to Eliza's birthday party. Remember, she invited her, and Ryle is going. Right. So she's dressed up. Uh, but who is Devin? Don't know yet. Right. He grabs my top and yanks it back down, and then proceeds to reach inside to adjust my bra. Okay. So cleavage is the breasts, basically. It's this part. So, um, so Devin wants her to pull the dress down so that we can have a beautiful view of the cleavage. Devin. Oh, sorry. Oh, oh, never mind. Okay. Devin. I slap his hand away and he laughs. Relax, Lily. I've touched a way better boobs than yours, and I'm still gay. Okay, so Devin is Lily's gay friend. Yeah, but I bet those boobs were attached to people you probably hang out with more than once every 6 months. Devin laughs. True, but that's half your fault. You're the one who left us high and dry to play with flowers. Or probably is an old colleague, a former colleague. Devin was one of my favorite people at the marketing firm I worked at, but we weren't close enough to where we actively became friends outside of work. He stopped by the flower shop this afternoon, and Eliza took to him almost immediately. She begged him to come to the party with me, and since I didn't really want to show up alone, I ended up begging him to come too. I smoothed my hands over my hair and tried to catch a glimpse of my reflection in the elevator walls. Why are you so nervous? He asked. I'm not nervous. I just hate showing up to places where I don't know anyone. Devin smirks knowingly and then says, what's his name? I release a I release a pent-up breath. Am I that transparent? Ryle is a neurosurgeon and he wants to have sex with me really, really bad. How do you know he wants to have sex with you? Because he literally got down on his knees and said, please, Lily, please have sex with me. Divine, right? Divine, I guess, raises an eyebrow. He begged. I nod. It wasn't as pathetic as it sounds. He's usually more composed. The elevator dings and the doors begin to open. I can hear music pouring from down the hallway. Divine takes both of my hands and his and says, so, what's the plan? Do I need to make this guy jealous? No, I say, shaking my head. That wouldn't be right. But Ryan does make it a point every time he sees me to tell me he hopes he never sees me again. Maybe just a little? I say, scrunching up my nose. A smidge? Divine pops his jaw and says, consider it done. He puts his hands on my lower back as he walks me out of the elevator. There's only one visible door on the hallway, so we make our way over and ring the doorbell. Why is there only one door? He says. She, um, he says, she owns the whole floor, the whole top floor. He chuckles. And she works for you? Damn, your life just keeps getting more and more interesting. The door begins to open, and I'm extremely relieved to see Eliza standing in front of me. There is music and laughter pouring out of the apartment behind her. She's holding a champagne glass in one hand and a riding crop in the other. She sees me staring at the riding crop with a confused look on my face, so she tosses it over her shoulder and grabs my hand. It's a long story, she says, laughing. Come in, come in. She pulls me in and squeezes Divine's hand and drag him behind me. She continues pulling us through a crowd of people until we reach the other side of the living room. Hey, she says, tugging on Marshall's arm. He turns around and smiles at me, then pulls me in for a hug. I glance behind him and around us, but there is no sign of Ryan. Maybe I got lucky and he got called into work tonight. Marshall reaches out for Divine's hand and shakes it. Hey man, good to see you. Good to meet you, sorry. Good to meet you. Divine wraps an arm around my waist. I'm Divine, he yells over the music. I'm Lily's sexual partner. I laugh and elbow him, then lean in to his ear. That's Marshall. Wrong guy, but nice. But nice effort. Eliza grabs my arm and starts to pull me away from Divine. Marshall begins speaking to him, and my hand is reaching out behind me as I'm being pulled in the opposite direction. You'll be fine, Divine yells. I follow Eliza into the kitchen where she shoves a glass of champagne in my hand. Drink, she says. You deserve it. I take a sip of the champagne, but I can't even appreciate it now that I'm getting a look at her industrial size kitchen with two full stove tops and a fridge bigger than my apartment. Holy shit, I whisper. Do you actually live here? She giggles. I know, she says. And to think I didn't even have to marry him for money. Marshall had $7 and drove a Ford Pinto when I fell in love with him. Doesn't he still drive a Ford Pinto? She sighs. Yeah, but we have a lot of good memories in that car. Gross. She wiggles her eyebrows. So, Divine is cute and probably more into Marshall than me. Oh man, she says. That's a bummer. I thought I was playing matchmaker when I invited me to the party tonight. The kitchen door opens and Divine walks in. Your husband is looking for you, he says to Eliza. She twirls her way out of the kitchen, giggling the whole time. I really like her, Divine says. She's great, huh? He leans against the island and says, So, I think I just met the beggar. My heart flutters down my chest. I think the neurosurgeon has a better ring. I think the neurosurgeon has a better ring to it. I take another sip of my champagne. How do you know it was him? Did he introduce himself? He shakes his head. Nah, but he overheard Marshall introducing me to someone as Lily's date. I thought the look he gave me was going to set me on fire. That's why I came in here. I like you, but I'm not willing to die for you. I laugh. Don't worry, I'm sorry that death glare. I'm sure that death glare he gave you was really his smile. They're superimposed most of the time. So a death glare. So as you might imagine, it means that he looked at him really in an angry way, as if he would wanted to murder him. So, or like a rival in a way. The door swings open again, and I immediately stiffen. So she becomes very stiff, very, she doesn't move anymore. She's like frozen. But it's only a caterer. I sigh with relief. Divine says, Lily, like my name is a disappointment. What? You look like you're about to puke, he says, accusingly. Puke is vomit. You really like him. I roll my eyes, but then I let my shoulders drop and I fake cry. I do, Divine. I do. I just don't want to. He takes my glass of champagne and downs the remainder of it, and downs the remainder of it, then locks his arm in mine again. Let's go mingle, he says, pulling me out of the kitchen against my will. The room is even more crowded now. There have to be more than 100 people here. I'm not even sure I know that many people. We walk around and work the room. I stand back while Divine does most of the talking. He knows someone in common with every person he's met so far. And after about half an hour of following him around, I convinced he's made it a personal game to find someone in common with everyone here. The whole time I mingle with him, my attention is half on him, half on the room, searching for traces of Ryan. I don't see him anywhere. And I begin to wonder if the guy Divine saw was even Ryan to begin with. Well, that's odd. And a woman says, what do you suppose it is? I look up and see that she is staring at a piece of art on the wall. It looks like a photograph blown up on a canvas. I tilt my head to inspect it. The woman turns her nose up and says, I don't know why anyone would bother turning that photograph into wall art. It's awful. It's so blurry. You can't even tell what it is. She walks away in a huff, and I'm relieved. I mean, it's a bit weird, but who am I to judge Eliza's taste? What do you think? His voice. Oh, what do you think? His voice is low, deep, and right behind me. I close my eyes briefly and inhale a steadying breath before quietly exhaling, hoping he doesn't notice his voice. Hoping he doesn't notice his voice has any effect on me whatsoever. I like it. I'm not quite sure what it is, but it's interesting. Your sister has good taste. He steps around me so that he is at my side, facing me. He takes a step closer until he's so close. He brushes my arm. He's so close, he brushes my arm. You brought a date? He's asking it like it's a casual question, but I know it isn't. When I fail to respond, he leans in until he's whispering in my ear. He repeats himself. But this time, it isn't a question. You brought a date. I find the courage to look over at him and instantly wish I hadn't. He's in a black suit that makes the scrubs look like looks like child child's play. First, I swallow the unexpected lump in my throat, and then I say, is it a problem? I brought a date? I look away from him and back at the photograph hanging on the wall. I was trying to make it things easier for you, just trying to make it stop. He smirks and then downs. I guess this is American say here. Play drinks in one go, I guess. The rest of his wine. How thoughtful of you, Lily. He tosses his empty wine glass toward a trash a trash can in the corner of the room. He makes the shot, the glass shatters when it hits the bottom of the empty container. I glance around me. I glance around me, but no one saw what just happened. When I look back at Ryle, he's halfway down a hallway. He disappears into a room, and I stand here, looking at the picture again. That's when I see it. The picture is blurred, so it was hard to make it out at first, but I can recognize that hair from anywhere. That's my hair. It's hard to miss, along with the marine grade polymer lounge chair. Sorry. It's hard to miss, along with the marine grade polymer lounge chair I'm lying on. This is the picture he took on the rooftop the first night we met. He must have had it blown up and distorted so no one would notice what it was. I bring my hand to my neck because my blood feels like it's bubbling. It's really warm in here. Eliza appears at my side. It's weird, huh? It appears at my side. It's weird, huh? She says, looking at the picture. I scratch at my chest. It's really hot in here, I say. Don't you think? She glances around the room. Is it? I hadn't noticed. I'm a little drunk. I'll tell Marshall to turn on the air. She disappears again, and the more I stare at the picture, the angrier I get. The man has a picture of me hanging in the apartment. He bought me flowers. He's giving me attitude because I brought a date to his sister's party. He's acting like he's acting like there's actually something between us, and we never even kissed. It all hits me at once. The anger, the irritation, the half glass of champagne I had in the kitchen. The anger, the irritation, the half glass of champagne I had in the kitchen. I'm so mad, I can't even think straight. If the guy wants to have sex with me so bad, he shouldn't have fallen asleep. If he doesn't want me to swoon, he shouldn't buy me flowers. He shouldn't hang He shouldn't hang cryptic pictures of me where he lives. All I want is fresh air. I need fresh air. Luckily, I know just where to find it. Moments later, I burst through the door to the rooftop. There, there are stranglers from the party up here. 3 of them seated on the patio furniture. Sorry. I ignore them and walk to the ledge with the good view and lean over it. I suck in several deep breaths and try to calm myself down. I want to go downstairs and tell him to make up his damn mind. But I know I need to have a clear head before I do that. The air is cold, and for some reason, I blame that on Ryle. Everything is his fault tonight. All of it. Wars, famine, gun violence. It all somehow links back to Ryle. Can we have a few? Oh, sorry. It all somehow links back to Ryle. Can we have a few minutes alone? I spin around, and Ryle is standing near the other guests. Immediately, all 3 of them nod and begin to stand up to give us privacy. I hold up my hands and say, wait, but none of them look at me. It's not necessary. Really, you don't have to leave. Oh, she says that to the people who just were about to leave. Ryle stands stoically with his hands in his pocket, while one of the guests mutters, It's fine, we don't mind. They begin to file back down the stairwell. I roll my eyes and spin back toward the ledge once I'm alone with him. Does everyone always do what you say? I ask, irritated. He doesn't respond. His footsteps are slow and deliberate as he closes in on me. My heart begins to beat like it's on a speed date, and I start scratching at my chest again. Lily, he says from behind me. I turn around and grip the ledge behind me with both hands. His eyes journey down to my cleavage. As soon as they do, I yank at the top of my dress so he can't see it. And then I grip the ledge again. He laughs and takes another step closer. We're almost touching now, and my brain is mush. It's pathetic. I'm pathetic. I feel like you have a lot to say, he says. So I'd like to give you the opportunity to speak your naked truth. Ah, I say with a laugh. Are you sure about that? He nods, so I prepare to let him have it. I push against his chest and make my way around him so that he's the one leaning against the ledge now. I can't tell what you want, Ryle. And every time I get to the point where I start to not give a shit, you show up again out of the blue. You show up at my work. You show up at my apartment door. You show up at parties. You. I live here, he says, excusing the last one. That pisses me off even more. I clench my fists. Ugh, you're driving me crazy. Do you want me or do you not? He stands up straight and takes a step toward me. Oh, I want you, Lily. Make no mistake about that. You just don't want. I just don't want to want you. Oh my God. My whole body sighs at that moment, partly out of frustration and partly because everything he says makes me shiver, and I hate that I allow him to make me feel like this. I shake my head. You don't get it, do you? I say soft I say, softening my voice. I feel too defeated right now to keep yelling at him. I like you, Ryle, and knowing that you only want me for one night makes me really, really sad. And maybe if this were a few months ago, we could have had sex and it would have been fine. You would have walked away and I could have easily moved on with my life. But it's not a few months ago. You waited too long and too many pieces of me are invested in you now. So please, I like this. I quite like this sentence. Too many pieces are invested in you now. So please stop flirting with me, stop hanging pictures of me in your apartment, and stop sending me flowers. Because when you do those things, it doesn't feel good, right? It actually kind of hurts. I feel deflated and exhausted, and I'm ready to leave. He regards me silently, and I respectfully give him time to make his rebuttal. But he doesn't. He just turns around, leans over the ledge, and stares down at the street like he didn't hear a single word I said. I walk across the roof and open the door, half expecting him to call out my name or ask me not to leave. I get all the way I get all the way back to the apartment before I finally lose all hope of that happening. I push through the crowd and make it through 3 different rooms before I spot Devine. Devine? I don't know. When he sees the look on my face, he just nods and begins to make his way across the room toward me. Ready to go? He asks, looping his arm through mine. I nod. I nod. Yes, so ready. We find Eliza in the main living room. I tell her and Marsha goodnight, using the excuse that I'm just exhausted from opening week, and I'd like to get some sleep before work tomorrow. Eliza gives me a hug and walks us to the front door. I'll be back on Monday, she says to me, kissing me on the cheek. Happy birthday, I said to her. Divine opened the door, but right before we step into the hallway, I hear someone yell my name. I turn round, and Ryle is pushing through the crowd on the other side of the room. Lily, wait! He yells, still trying to make his way over to me. My heart is erratic. He's walking quickly, stepping around people, growing more frustrated with every person in his way. He finally reaches a break in the crowd and makes eye contact with me again. He holds my gaze as he marches toward me. He doesn't slow down. Eliza has to step out of his way as he walks straight up to me. At first, I think he might kiss me, or at least give a rebuttal to everything I said to him upstairs. But instead, he does something I'm not at all prepared for. He scoops me up into his arm. He scoops me up into his arm. Ryle, I yell, gripping him around the neck, afraid he might drop me. Put me down! He has an arm wrapped under my legs and one under my back. I need to borrow Lily for the night, he says to Divine. That okay? I look at Divine and shake my head wide-eyed. Divine just smirks and says, Be my guest. Traitor. Ryle starts to turn and walk back toward the living room. I look at Eliza as I pass her. Her eyes are wide with confusion. I'm going to kill your brother, I yell at her. Everyone in the entire room is staring now. I'm so embarrassed. I just press my face against Ryan's chest as he walks me down the hallway and into his bedroom. Once the door is shut behind us, he slowly lowers my feet back to the floor. I immediately start to yell at him and try to push him out of the way of the bedroom door, but he spins me and shoves me against the door, grabbing both of my wrists. He presses them against the wall above my head and says, Lily? He's looking at me so intently. I stop trying to fight him off of me, and I hold my breath. His chest is pressing against, oh my God, mine. My back is pressed to the door, and then his mouth is on mine. Warm pressure against my lips. It's a little bit very forward, definitely, but almost like this myth about being in the whole fury of feelings. I don't know. Despite the strength behind them, his lips are like silk. I'm shocked at the moan that rushes through me, and even more shocked when I part my lips and want more. His tongue slides against mine and he releases my wrist to grab my face. His kiss grows deeper and I grasp at his hair, pulling him closer, feeling the kiss in my entire body. Both of us become a medley of moans and gasps as the kiss brings us over the edge, our body wanting more than our mouth can deliver. I feel his hands as he reaches down and grabs my legs, lifting me up and hooking them around his waist. So he's lifting her, as you can imagine in all like romance films. My God, this man can kiss. It's as if he takes kissing as seriously as he takes his profession. He begins to pull me away from the door when I'm hit with the realization that yes, his mouth is capable of a lot. But what his mouth has failed to do is respond to everything I told him upstairs. For all I know, I've just given in. I'm giving him what he wants, a one night stand. And that's the last thing he deserves right now. I pull my mouth from his and push on his shoulders. Put me down. He keeps walking toward his bed, so I say it again. Ryle, put me down right now. He stops walking and lowers me to the floor. I have to go back. Oh, I have to back away and face the other direction to gather my thoughts. Looking at him while I feel his lips on mine is more than I can deal with right now. I feel his arms go round my waist and he rests his head on my shoulder. I'm sorry, he whispers. He turns me around and brings a hand up to my face and brushes his thumb across my cheek. It's my turn now, okay? I don't risk. It's my turn now, okay? No, it's him, sorry. It's my turn now, okay? I don't respond to his touch. I keep my arms folded across my chest and wait to hear what he has to say before I allow myself to respond to his touch. I had that picture made. Okay, so it's him talking. I had that picture made the day after I took it. He says, it's been in my apartment for months now because you are the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And I wanted to look at it every single day. Oh, and that night I showed up at your door. I went searching for you because no one in the history of my life has ever crawled under my skin and refused to live like you did. I didn't know how to handle it. And the reason I sent you flowers this week is because I'm really, really proud of you for following your dream. But if I send you flowers every time I've had the urge to send you flowers, you wouldn't even be able to sit inside your apartment because that's how much I think about you. And yes, Lily, you're right. I'm hurting you and I'm hurting too. And until tonight, I didn't know why. I had no idea how I even possibly find the strength to speak after that. Why are you hurting? He drops his forehead to mine and says, because I have no idea what I'm doing. You make me want to be a different person. What if I don't know how to be what you need? This is all new to me, and I want to prove to you that I want you for so much more than just one night. He looks so vulnerable right now. I want to believe the genuine look in his eye. But he's been so adamant since the day that I met him that he wants the exact opposite of what I want. And it terrifies me that I'll give in to him and he walk away. How do I prove myself to you, Lily? Tell me, and I'll do it. I don't know. I barely know the guy and know him enough to know that sex with him won't be enough for me, though. But how do I know sex won't be the only thing he wants? My eyes instantly lock with his. Don't have sex with me? He stares at me for a moment, completely unreadable. But then he starts to nod his head like he's finally getting it. Okay, he says, still nodding. Okay, I will not have sex with you, Lily Bloom. He walks around me to his bedroom, to his bedroom door, and he locks it. He flips off the light, leaving only a lamp on, and then takes off his shirt as he walks toward me. What are you doing? He tosses his shirt on a chair and then slips off his shoes. We're going to sleep. Oh, and that's something that happens in the film. I glanced at his bed, then at him. Right now? He nods and walks over to me. In one swift moment, he lifts my dress up my head and over my head until I'm standing in the middle of his bedroom floor in my bra and panties. I cover myself, but he doesn't even look twice. He pulls me toward the bed and lifts the covers for me to crawl in. As he's walking over to his side of his bed, he says, to his side of the bed, he says, it's not like we haven't slept together before without having sex. Piece of cake. I laugh. He reaches his dresser and plugs his phone into a charger. I take a moment to skim his bedroom. This certainly isn't the type of spare bedroom I'm used to. 3 of my bedrooms could fit in here. There's a couch against the other wall, a chair facing a television, and a full office of the bedroom that looks complete with a floor-to-ceiling library. I'm still trying to see everything around me when the lamp goes off. Your sister is really rich, I say, as I feel him pull the covers over both of us. What the hell does she do with the $10 an hour I pay her? Wipe her ass with it? He laughs and grabs my hand, sliding his fingers through mine. She probably doesn't even cash the checks, he says. Have you ever checked? I haven't. Now I'm curious. Good night, Lily, he says. I can't stop smiling because this is kind of ridiculous and so great. Good night, Ryle. I think I might be lost. Everything is so white and so clean, it's blinding. I shuffle through one of the living rooms and try to find my way to the kitchen. I have no idea where my dress ended up last night, so I pulled on one of Ryan's shirts. It falls past my knees, and I wonder if he has to buy shirts that are too big for him just so they'll fit his arms. There are too many windows and way too much sun, so I'm forced to shield my eyes as I go in search of coffee. I push through the kitchen doors and find a coffee maker. Thank you, Jesus. I set it to brew and then go in search for a mug. When the kitchen door opens behind me, I spin around and I'm relieved to see that Eliza isn't always a perfect concoction of makeup and jewelry. Her hair is in a messy top knot, and mascara is smeared down her cheeks. She points at the coffee maker. I'm gonna need some of that. I'm gonna need me some of that, she says. She pulls herself up on the island and then slouches forward. Can I ask you a question? I say. She barely has the energy to nod. I have my hand around the kitchen. How did this happen? How in the hell did your entire house become spotless between the party last night and me waking up just now? Did you stay up and clean? She laughs. We have people for that, she says. People? She nods. Yeah, there are people for everything, she says. You'd be surprised. Think of something, anything. We probably have people for it. Groceries? People, she says. Christmas de- Christmas decor? She nods. People for that too. What about birthday gifts, like for family members? She grinds. Yep, people. Everyone in my family receives a gift and a card for every occasion, and I never have to lift a finger. I shake my head. Whoa, how long have you been this rich? 3 years, she says. Marshall sold a few apps he developed to Apple for a lot of money. Every 6 months, he creates updates and sells those too. The coffee transitions into a slow drip. So I grab a mug, and fill it up. You want you want anything in yours? I ask. Or do you have people for that? She laughs. Yes, I have you, and I like sugar, please. I stir some sugar into her cup and walk it over to her, then pour myself a cup. It grows quiet for a while as I mix it grows quiet for a while as I mix in creamer. As I mix in creamer, waiting for her to say something about me and Ryle. The conversation is inevitable. Can we just get the awkwardness out of the way? She says. I sigh, relieved. Please, I hate this. I face her and take a sip of my coffee. She sets hers down beside her and then grips the countertop. How did that even happen? I shake my head, trying my best not to smile like I'm love struck. I don't want her to think I'm weak or a fool for giving in to him. We met before I knew you. She tilts her head. Wait, she says, before we got to know each other better or before we knew each other at all? At all, I say. We had a moment one night about 6 months before I met you. A moment? She says, as in a one night stand? No, I say. No, we never even kissed until that last night. I don't know. I can't explain it. We just had this sort of flirtation thing going on for a really long time, and it finally came to a head last night. That's all. She picks up her coffee again and takes a slow drink from it. She stares down at the floor for a while, and I can't help but notice she looks a little sad. Eliza, you're not mad at me, are you? Hmm. She immediately shakes her head. No, Lily, she sets down her coffee cup again. I just know my brother, and I love him. I really do, but what? Eliza and I both look at the direction of the voice. Ryle is standing in the doorway with his arms folded across his chest. He's wearing a pair of grey jogging pants that are barely hanging onto his hips. No shirt. I'll be adding this outfit to all the other ones I've catalogued in my head. Ryle pushes off the door and makes his way into the kitchen. He walks over to me and takes my cup of coffee out of my hands. He leans in and kisses me on the forehead, then takes a drink as he leans against the counter. I didn't mean to interrupt, he says to Eliza. By all means, continue your conversation. Eliza rolls her eyes and says, Stop. He hands me back my cup. He hands me back my cup of coffee and turns around to grab his own mug. He begins to pour from the he begins to pour from the pot. It sounded to me like you were about to give Lily a warning. I'm just curious as to what you have to say. Eliza hops off the counter and carries her mug to the sink. She's my friend, Ryle. You don't have the best track record when it comes to relationships. She washes out the mug and then leans her hip into the sink, facing us. As her friend, I have the right to give her my opinion when it comes to the guys she dates. That's what friends do. I'm suddenly feeling uncomfortable as the tension grows thicker between the two of them. Ryan doesn't even take a drink of his coffee. He walks toward Eliza and pours it out in the sink. He's standing right in front of her, but she won't even look at him. Well, as your brother, I would hope you had a little more faith in me than you do. That's what siblings do. He walks out of the kitchen, shoving the door open. When he's gone, Eliza takes a deep breath. She shakes her head and pulls her hands up to her face. Sorry about that, she says, forcing a smile. I need a shower. I need to shower. You don't have people for that? She laughs as she exits the kitchen. I wash my mug in the sink. I wash my mug in the sink and head back to Ryle's bedroom. When I open the door, he's sitting on the couch, scrolling through his phone. He doesn't look up at me when I walk in, and for a second, I think he might be mad at me too. But then he tosses his phone aside and leans back into the couch. Come here, he says. It grabs my hand and pulls me down on top of him so that I'm straddling him. He brings my mouth to his and kisses me so hard it makes me wonder if he's trying to prove his sister wrong. Ryle pulls away from my mouth and slowly rakes his eyes down my body. I like you in my clothes. I smile. Well, I have to get to work, so unfortunately I can't keep them on. He brushes the hair from my face and says, I have a really important surgery coming up that I need to prepare for, which means I probably won't see you for a few days. I try to hide my disappointment, but I have to get used to it if he really wants to try and make something work between us. He's really warned me that he works too much. I'm busy too. Grand opening is on Friday. He says, Oh, I'll see you before Friday. Promise. I don't hide my grind this time. Okay. He kisses me again, this time for a solid minute. He starts to lower me to the couch, but then he shoves away from me and says, Nope, I like you too much to make out with you. I lie down on the couch and watch him get dressed for work. To my enjoyment, he puts on scrubs. So scrubs, I didn't explain, but you might have guessed. So he's a surgeon. So he's wearing, you probably have seen on TV shows or films, the blue outfit that the doctors or the surgeon wear, or the nurse at the hospital, all called scrubs in English. Yeah. So the blue outfit. Right. So this is the end of chapter 7. And finally they kiss, but they don't have sex yet. We'll have to wait for that. Unless you're too, of course, if you are too curious or too excited about the book, you can read ahead. You can read the next chapters if you feel like it. If you get very excited about Lily and Ryan's story. So you can read ahead and then reread together when you listen to the live reading. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. You enjoyed this live reading, and that you'll be able to join our live workshop discussion this Saturday. I really look forward to meet you live. If you have any question, just send me a message or an email on my socials or on my website. You can find all the information, all the contacts. Um, so that's it for me. Have a beautiful end of the day. And I will see you on Saturday as well for our next live read along. So I will meet you at 6:30 p.m. and we will read chapter 8. I like this. So Kitty is saying, I like this book. It's very cinematically. Oh, interesting. Yes, it is very visual, and you can um, clearly imagine the scenes, and we can see clearly that she has been inspired by kind of the common the romantic cliche, American cliche, I would say, because this is not quite kind of the yes, like a movie. Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. And some passages have been literally adapted on screen in the film adaptation. Um, yes, she reuses some um, yeah romantic cliches that we have grown up we've been raised with. So that's not really new, I would say. So if you like this kind of scenes, then it's you're gonna be happy with this book. Um, but that's the thing with American romance. It reuses often the same kind of scenes and or like the same way to behave between two characters, especially when they're very um, not sex because they're just kissing, but the kissing scene are articulated almost the same way as they've been doing for decades. So that's not something that's very new here. But it's more the unfolding of the story that makes it interesting. The plot, the fact that she is reminiscing her childhood. And well, we are just barely halfway, no, not even halfway of the book. So uh, yeah, we'll see how if we get surprised. Right. So I hope you had a lovely time listening to the reading of this book. And thank you again for attending the live and also watching this video. Thank you. Bye.